Hi everyone, I'm Judi Levy. I'm the social worker for the lower school here at Fuchs Mizrahi, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about some of the things we talked about during the workshop last week on helping children cope with anxiety and stress. One of the things that I like to remind parents of is that we sometimes talk about stress like it's a bad thing and that we need to get rid of it completely, but really what we want to do is help kids cope with stress, because stress is just our response to demanding situations. And in life, we are going to face a number of demanding situations. So we want our kids to feel a little bit of stress before they have a performance or do a recital or study for a big test or compete in a soccer tournament. Right, these are things that we want them to feel energized, alert, sort of activated enough to get ready and kind of focus their attention on something. What we don't want is for their stress level to be consistently that high and not to have breaks where it kind of resolves or goes to a lower level. So we're always trying to find that balance so that we can feel happy and able to perform, and that when our stress does peak a bit, we have some good coping in our reserves. Okay, and when we talk about anxiety, we're thinking more about kids sometimes feeling preoccupied about the future, worried about what might happen, and sometimes having a hard time kind of staying in the here and now. So some of the strategies we will talk about are ways to help them be in the here and now, in the present moment, and to kind of take a break from some of those preoccupied thoughts. As parents and as adults, sometimes we ask the question, what do they have to worry about anyway? And, I like to remind myself and others that really they have a lot to worry about. Unfortunately, their lives are really a moving target. They're developing and growing and navigating new relationships, new friendships, new settings, learning the rules, and also learning new concepts every day. And I think that's a lot of stress on a young person to sort of navigate all that newness on a daily basis, let alone navigating any changes that might be happening in their family, any stressors that might be happening in their community, or any other pieces that might be, a big change or a big transition, like a move or a new baby or a new school. All of those things kind of add a layer of stress. So, we want to be able to just validate if our kids are feeling stressed or anxious or worried, that we can really understand the feeling and help them feel understood in that feeling, that we can say, you're feeling really worried or really upset or sad, and hang out with that rather than trying to use logic to talk them out of their feeling experience. So it's really helpful for kids and adults to feel that others understand them, and also that, there's some kind of person who's sort of holding that difficult feeling with them, that they're not alone with a difficult feeling. And a lot of times that helps the feeling really kind of resolve and abate more quickly. Okay, when we're able to tell that our kids are stressed, sometimes that shows up as they're not sleeping as well, they're not eating as well, they may be more irritable, they may talk about having a hard time falling asleep, and they may have more challenges in their relationships with their family or their friends, or be more distracted in school. So, some of those are some of the indicators, as well as physical complaints. Sometimes kids will complain of headaches or stomach aches or feeling really tired. So some of those physical complaints are sometimes a sign that they need a little bit more in their toolbox to be able to cope with some of those stressors going on in their lives. When we think about coping tools, it's good to have sort of a menu of options that you're practicing with your kids before they need them, and building that skill set so that when things are really peaked, that they have access to those and they've tried them before. So one of the categories I like to look at is this calming category. So calming can mean practicing with different breathing strategies where we try to help with kind of being mindful and in the moment. And there's a few different breathing strategies that I like to try that I'm happy to send to you if you ask me for them. And, really kind of taking like those deep breaths in and out, and counting in their head so that they can kind of get their logical brain and their emotional brain connected to one another. Also for calming, sometimes kids really respond well to visualizations of peaceful, relaxing places. So those are nice to do at bedtime when they're trying to settle their bodies. You can imagine it together, or you guys can write up a story or a script that you read every night, and kind of having a calming routine that you do together. Another strategy that I like to think about is sort of distraction, and sometimes we just need a break. We need to, kind of shift our gears away from the thing that we're worrying about and get a little reprieve from it. So that can mean drawing, coloring, taking a physical break from whatever space that we're in. A lot of kids listen to music, read a book, anything to kind of settle the mind and shift out of it. And that doesn't mean there won't be a time to kind of process it and talk about it, but sometimes the body and the brain need a little bit of reset before they can do that. The other thing that might be helpful is movement. With worry, with anxiety, there's a lot of energy, right? And there's a lot of charge. There's cortisol and sort of these hormones to get up and do. So sometimes movement really helps. So getting on a bike, running around the block, playing at the playground. I also think about ways to connect and kind of bring play into it is sometimes helpful. So maybe playing Simon Says, or having a race with you, something that kind of makes the movement happen in a way that's connecting and playful and fun can be really positive. And then finally, we want to process the feelings. So we want to think of some strategies in this kind of realm that we can use. So that can be writing a letter to the worries. That can be writing down on little slips of paper the things that they're worried about and putting them in a worry box. And then you close up the worry box and you take it with you to your room when it's nighttime, because a lot of times these worries come up at bedtime and kids kind of have racy, preoccupied thoughts and can't fall asleep. So if you hold the worries, sometimes that concrete way of putting them down can be really helpful. Then of course there's always just plain old talking about the feelings, naming the feelings, being heard, having the feelings, and sharing with you the things that they're worried about, and knowing that you can kind of hold that with them and support them as they go through that. So, anytime that you guys are practicing really positive coping for yourselves with stress and anxiety is also really helpful to your kids. They're looking to you that you're kind of calm and your emotions are really well regulated, and also to learn that, if you go running, that's something you do that's healthy for you and your worries. Or if you talk to a good friend, or if you take a break and just take some deep breaths, those are things that your kids are watching. So anytime you're doing something good for you and your stress, you're doing something good for your kids and their stress. I'm so happy to talk to any of you anytime. If you'd like any help with this in your family, please feel free to reach out, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.